Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And student loans, I don't know where student loans is not an important topic, okay? Because we still got kids going to college every year. You know, we got people that are drowning in student loan debt. Student loans has just been a major topic for a while. So I read an article this morning that says that the Department of Education wants the IRS to provide income information on student loan borrowers. And this is based on the GAO report that was released last week that says some 76,000 borrowers may be committing fraud. Now, with the number of student loans, people that have student loans, that 76,000 is a very small percentage. There's going to be fraud everywhere, okay? I just don't care who you are in what we're talking about, because there's fraud in every area of our life. Did we not just see yesterday where but Capital One reported a data breach, right? So it's fraud in everywhere. So I put the link to the GAO report because we, as a people, when we see these headlines, we got to be able to go back to the source and really read the information and digest it. Because you know what? The one thing about statistics and numbers is you can find evidence of anything that you want. And so, but this report, it talks about the potential for fraud with the income-driven repayment plans. And so basically what that is that you make payments based on how much of your adjusted gross income that you have, discretionary spending, how much that is, and then you make payments based on that. And so I was looking over the report briefly, and about 79,300 people reported zero income, and these were people in incomes of less than $60,000. There are more. There were claims of zero income in families that made $100,000 or more. It was very low, but the bulk of the claims of zero income were in the $15,000 to $45,000 range. There's about 62,000 families in that range. And so one of the things that you also have to keep in mind is that there are people that have more than one student loan income-driven repayment, because it says that between January 16th and September 2017, there were 5 million income-driven repayment plans that were approved for 3.5 million people. So people have more than one plan going on, right? So that is a lot of student loan debt. And I guess and the other reason that it really piqued my interest is because your taxes are becoming tied to more and more of your life. You know, people are just really getting the fact that if you have a tax debt of over $50,000, then your passport can be suspended. You know, your tax returns it's becoming more and more important. And this is why I keep telling y'all to file y'all taxes as if you're going to get audited tomorrow. I mean, because when you think about it, when you apply for financial aid, the FAFSA folks, they should really be in charge of the IRS, because they're going to tell you if your taxes are filed wrong before the IRS even knows it, right? So your tax returns are already being reviewed when you are applying for financial aid for your kids. It's already there. But now it's shifting to the after part where you're paying for student loans. And so what I found out when I was going through this, there's actually a site that you can go to apply for these income-driven repayment plans. So I went poking around, as I do. I'm nosy like that, you guys. But you go through and you put in your information. Now you can elect to have your information sent directly from the IRS, or you can input the information yourself. And so one of the things that this report brought out is that almost 41,000 people had plans approved with atypical family sizes of 9 or more. Now, we're talking about people who are claiming that they have a family size of 9 up to 21 people in their families. Now, I'm not saying that there's not the truth. I'm just saying that's kind of odd, right? And so you have to, and so this is what the GAO was saying. The Government Accountability Office is saying that, hey, perhaps you need to look at this stuff, compare the tax return to what's being claimed on these income-driven repayment plans. Because if you're saying that you got 21 people in your family, in your household, and you don't have any taxable income, but on your tax return, you got 2 people, then that's going to present a problem. And so this all gets back to fraud. And one of the last statements in this article that I read, it says that the department is also working to identify and refer cases of suspected fraud to the Department of Justice for prosecution. So do not go messing with government money because it is fraud. And so, so the thing about it is, and what really struck me is that there's already enough income tax fraud that's going on, right? You have the fraud where people are claiming false business expenses and reducing this income, getting these large refunds and all of that, right? You already have the earned income tax credit fraud where people are claiming dependents that are not theirs, just all this stuff. And I also read an article this morning too where it shared that parents are giving up custody of their kids in their 10th grade year so that when it comes time for them to go to college, then they can get financial aid to go to school. And and all of this amounts to fraud. And the question becomes, is it going to be worth the price if you get caught doing these things? Like, there's a difference between an emancipated teen and a family saying, okay, listen, if you're still showing that you live with us, then you're not going to be able to get financial aid. But if we say that that we no longer have custody of you, you go and live somewhere else, then in a couple of years, you're still going to be able to get this financial aid. All of this comes to fraud. And what fraud is that you're really getting access to money that you're not supposed to get. And this is where, like I said, for the tax returns, that people are doing fraudulent stuff all the time to get access to money that they would not ordinarily have access to and may not be entitled to. And so this is another way. And so now the Government Accountability Office is saying, hey, you need to look at these student loan borrowers because evidently they're not checking, right? But what also just came to mind to me is that I did have a client of mine that reached out to me and said, hey, can you write a letter for me saying, stating what my income was for my student loan repayment? And I declined to do that because at the end of the day is if you're not telling me the truth, then I can also be held liable because I'm saying, yeah, you didn't make any money. We ain't doing that. That's not what we're going to do today. All right. But we do get these requests as tax professionals, as accountants. We get these requests all the time for letters stating that, hey, this is what, you're basically vouching for these people that they have been honest with you and no, you can be held liable as well. And that's not a place that you want to put yourself in because that can turn out to be ugly. Okay. But at the end of the day, what this is doing is really trying to hold people accountable and to, make sure people are being honest about their income. Now, the other thing that I also think about is when you look at, different areas of the country where, $60,000 in the state of Georgia, you might be bossing out, but in California, you're not even, that's poverty line. That's poverty level. I even read an article that in Seattle, if you make less than $70,000, that's low income. So depending on where you are, that $60,000 is nothing, right? And so I don't know that they're going to be taking these things into consideration when they're working out these income driven repayment plans because depending on where you live, your salary may be great and it could be nothing somewhere else. So, yeah, so this has not happened yet. But I don't think it will be long before it does happen, simply because of the potential for fraud. And it's a lot easier for government agencies to talk to each other now as far as your tax returns go. So number one, again, file that tax return like it's going to get audited tomorrow. Because in a case like this, you either lied on your tax return or you're going to commit a student loan fraud. Which one is it? So where did you not tell the truth here? Because if you're saying that you have if you got saying that you got 9 dependents, and then they go run social security numbers and go, okay, well, little Jack was claimed on your tax return this year, but Jack was claimed on somebody else's tax return the other year. Which one of y'all lying? So the potential for this is huge to catch people in, doing fraudulent stuff. As more and more government agencies start to rely on, talking to each other, also, the sharing of information, looking at these tax returns. The thing about tax returns is black and white. You either claimed a dependent or you didn't. You either claimed a credit or you didn't. You either claimed income or you didn't. It's very black and white. There's no ifs, ands, buts. That's it. It is what it is. So even though this isn't happening now, I see this happening. I see the Department of Education getting Congress making a move to get access to these income tax returns. I see that. I can't even tell you. I don't know how fast it will happen, but I can definitely see this happening because, like I said, you're sitting. If you sitting up here claiming that you have a 21 members of your family, okay. Like, seriously. Again, I'm not saying that you don't. You could be who them people that had the show and she had about 20 kids. Y'all know the people I'm talking about. If you them, okay, great, because you can prove it. But if you're claiming 21 family members and you got 2 or 3, then that's fraud. If you're claiming this because you don't want to pay, it's fraud. Yes, listen, I've been through student loan hell. And I'm glad I got out. But I know that is not the norm because, student loan payments, when you get out of college and then you can't even get a job to pay rent, much less to pay student loan. I know what that's like. And so then you put the student loans on deferment and that interest keeps racking up. The interest doesn't go anywhere. It's just that the payments stop. But the interest is still accruing. So that is going to cause these student loans to keep growing and growing until it's already out of hand. So yeah, I've been there, done that. I totally get it. But yeah, getting access to these IRS information, I can see it happening. And that's then the only people that are going to really be upset are the people that are claiming false stuff to get their income driven repayment plan. Okay. But that's what's coming down the pike, you guys. You better get, if you ain't right, you better get right. That's all I'm saying. All right. So listen, thank you guys so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9:00-ish, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.